Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now. It is Wednesday, November 16th. Ian Cameron with you. Alex B. Smith should be along momentarily as well, as we are ready to take a look ahead to a mini three-game card here on this Wednesday, on the heels of obviously a very busy Tuesday night in the NHL, which we will look back on right now. The Toronto Maple Leafs with a 5-2 victory last night over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Another example of that short turnaround revenge spot panning out for the better. We've seen a lot of these the last couple of weeks. And is it just me, or does it seem like the NHL with their schedule has done this a lot here early in the season, where you've got the same two teams playing each other within a week or within 2 weeks? I mean, we have seen this a bunch this season. And I think that's kind of something that they're trying to do subconsciously, because I think they kind of want, when two teams are, especially teams outside the division, playing each other multiple times head to head in a short period of time. I think they want to try to get some greater hostility, greater rivalry going, because, same two teams play each other in a short period of time. But they've been doing this a lot with the schedule this season. And Toronto and Pittsburgh, of course, played Friday night last week. In Toronto, it was the Hall of Fame game, and the Pittsburgh Penguins got the 4-2 win. Toronto returning the favor last night with a 5-2 win. Matt Murray returning from injury, facing his old team, facing the team that he won a Stanley Cup with many years ago, and playing quite well, honestly, for the Leafs. Very solid in net for a guy that had been out for about a month of action, and certainly fired up, I am sure, to be playing the Pittsburgh Penguins. But he played well, and congratulations, by the way, to John Tavares as well for the Leafs, getting his 400th career goal last night to get the party started for the Leafs. It was the opening goal of the hockey game, so credit to him for that. But number 400 for him in his career, and that just set the table for what was a pretty good road game overall for the Leafs, as they take care of business against the Penguins 5-2, who they snapped out of that losing streak with a couple of wins back-to-back, Pittsburgh, and now they've lost 2 in a row since then. So Penguins continue their inconsistent up and down ways. We saw Vancouver beat Buffalo 5-4. Again, the Canucks nearly blowing a lead, which they've done a lot this year, but this time they were able to hang on and survive with a 5-4 victory over the Buffalo Sabres. Florida Panthers with a 5-2 win over the depleted, shorthanded Washington Capitals, a Washington team that's got all kinds of issues right now in terms of their play on the ice, the injury situation, which we talked about yesterday. It's very grave for them right now, and it was a solid home win there for the Florida Panthers. It was a great game, by the way, for Barkov. He was outstanding. Barkov, Reinhart got on the board. Carter Verhaeghe, who's really been terrific since joining the Florida Panthers from Tampa Bay prior to last year. He scored 2 goals last night. Nick Cousins gets on the board. And I mentioned Nick Cousins, watch out for him. He's starting to get more ice time and percolate a little bit offensively. So 5-2 win there for the Florida Panthers in that game. Tampa Bay with a 5-4 win in overtime over the Dallas Stars. Really exciting hockey game, actually. And I like the over in that game. I like the over in the Florida game, so that one went well. Toronto-Pittsburgh was a 2-0 sweep with Leafs and over. I split with Buffalo in the over against Vancouver. This one I split as well. I had a small piece of Dallas at the underdog price, but also the over. And look, Dallas has definitely got a little bit more pace in their game, way more, actually, when you compare the way they are playing now compared to the Rick Bowness days of last year. They're definitely more aggressive, more assertive offensively. And Jake Ottinger, to be quite honest with you, that injury stunted his play a little bit. He has not exactly gotten back into playing rhythm in the starts he's made since returning from that injury. He's been a little bit shaky. Certainly the San Jose game he was, and a little bit last night. He'll be fine. I'm not worried. This is not what's wrong with Jake Ottinger. He'll be fine. He's a really good goaltender. And obviously we saw that. We've seen in the playoffs last year, most of last year. It'll come back to that level again for him, but maybe it'll take a little time. Tampa Bay with the 5-4 win, and Alex Killorn getting the game-winning goal in overtime. The New Jersey Devils can continue to do no wrong. 5-1 victory last night over the Montreal Canadiens, a Montreal team that had been winning 3 in a row going into last night, and the Devils cooled them off. The 10th straight win for the New Jersey Devils last night. Been so impressive to see how this team has played. Jack Hughes with a couple of goals, red-hot hockey team. Dougie Hamilton added a goal. Jesper Bratt got on the board as well for this team. Vitek Vanacek continues to be solid in net for the Devils, 25 saves last night in that victory. Just a fun hockey team to watch, exciting. As I've said on multiple occasions, this is a team that can get all 4 lines to chip in offensively at any given game, any given night. And we have seen that repeatedly from the Devils. And to see the New Jersey Devils now in a position where they are in the standings, it's remarkable. 13-3. The Devils are right there with Vegas and with Boston now, battling it out for the top spot in the NHL overall here as of November 16th. So it's just absolutely incredible to see how well the Devils have played, and that they're right up there with some of the absolute best teams in the NHL. So definitely something you want to keep in mind. Keep in mind is that the Devils just keep on finding ways to win, and we will see if they continue the winning ways. The offense has been good, but I think what doesn't get talked about enough is the improvement in their defensive game. The New Jersey Devils. I mean, this has been something that has been a big theme throughout the first month of the season, is that the New Jersey Devils are not giving up as many shots on goal, not even close to what they've given up in years past. The high danger scoring chances allowed, the grade A scoring chances, the rush chances, they're doing a better job minimizing that. And again, with Vitek Vanacek in net, they are getting saves right now. So very impressive team. And that should be a fun game tomorrow night. The Devils head to Toronto to take on the Leafs. That'll be their next challenge moving forward, although the challenge might be more for Toronto because of the way this New Jersey team is playing right now. Nashville beat Minnesota 2-1 last night. Very disappointing, kind of a flat effort from the Minnesota Wild, and they've been certainly accustomed to that, I should say, from certain periods of time where we've just seen them just not get any offense going, kind of lethargic, and that was the case last night, although it was, again, a very solid effort again from UC Saros. And I think Nashville, with the struggles they were going through, have realized that if we're going to win games, we got to really tighten up defensively. And John Hines kind of said that prior to these last 2 home games against the Rangers and the Predators. We have to sort out our shit that's going on in the defensive zone right now. And that is exactly what we have seen from the Predators here in the last couple of games. Better defensive effort, helping out UC Saros, and that's made him a better goalie in turn. And as a result, they get 2 home wins in a row, back-to-back. We saw the Anaheim Ducks with a 3-2 overtime win against Detroit. Not the return to the lineup you would have wanted to see from Tyler Bertuzzi. Brutal turnover in overtime. I mean, awful. He's got to know better than that. You don't send a fucking pizza up the middle of the ice like that. A backhand right up the middle of the ice in front of your own net in an overtime period when you're only got 3-on-3 as well. There's so much open ice. Only bad things can happen. And sure enough, that just egregious turnover ended up in the back of their net, and Anaheim ended up winning the game by a score of 3-2 last night. And it was a pretty solid game. It was actually one of the better games I have seen from the Anaheim Ducks here in recent games defensively. And, I thought for sure, I was pretty confident in that team total of Detroit over 3, and they didn't even get the 3 last night against the Ducks. But credit to Anaheim, it was one of their better defensive games probably the entire season. You can count on one hand the number of times Anaheim has held their opponent to 2 goals or less, but they were able to do that last night against the Detroit Red Wings for that 3-2 victory. How about the upset of the night? San Jose, 5-2 over Vegas. Don't look now. The Sharks are starting to get things rolling a little bit. How about 3 wins in a row for the Sharks on this road trip? And they beat 3, I would consider, above-average hockey teams. Dallas, Minnesota, and this was the best of the bunch, going to T-Mobile Arena and beating the Vegas Golden Knights by a score of 5-2. Man, I mean, they are scoring goals right now, and thank goodness I got lucky as shit, let's be honest, in this game. I actually swept the board in this game, 3-0, and I probably shouldn't have been able to do that, quite honestly. I should have been maybe with the 3 bets, maybe 2-1 at best, probably 1-2 or 0-3. It could have even been a possibility when you think about it. Because I had Vegas first period puck line, -0.5, plus 120, first period. I mentioned it on the show yesterday. And, you look at the game last night. Jack Eichel scores with 3 seconds left in the first period. So we cashed that by, the hair of my chin right here. That's about it. And it was close, and that ended up being 1-0 Vegas. So a bit fortuitous to get that late goal, but we got it. I had San Jose team total over 2, which is funny because I had Vegas first period puck line, but I did bet San Jose team total over 2.5 plus 100. I just couldn't believe the number, couldn't believe the price. And look, that's now 3 or more goals for San Jose in 9 straight games following that victory last night. So watch these team totals for San Jose. They are something to monitor, especially when they're going to throw out a 2.5 out there with their team total. I mean, definitely it's a team that is finding some offensive fluidity right now. Meyer's been great. Hurdle's been good. They're getting some hardworking efforts from LeBanc and this Barabanov. I mean, he really is a hardworking forward for the San Jose Sharks. It's a guy that Toronto ended up trading away, and Barabanov was picked up by San Jose. He's been good. They've gotten some depth contributions. Erik Karlsson's having a turn back the clock season now that he's healthy on the blue line. I mean, there's a lot of things that are right now offensively going well for San Jose. I still worry about that defense a little bit. You still worry about Reimer and Kakkonen, the goaltending combination. It's also why I like the over in that game, and I was very fortunate with that cashing over 6. We had a 4-goal third period, all of it being San Jose, shutting out Vegas 4-0 in the third period, including, of course, the empty net goal to make it 5-2. But definitely San Jose has got a little mojo going and some solid play from them right now. And sometimes, look, even though you think a team is going to be pretty bad, and I'm sure when the season is all said and done, we're going to see San Jose end up languishing down near the bottom of the standings as we expect. But even bad teams are going to go through these little peaks. Even they might not last long, but you are going to see them happen during the course of the season. And right now, San Jose is playing some better hockey right now, and they will return home from this very solid road trip tomorrow night to face the Detroit Red Wings. So 5-2. San Jose with the win there, and yes, very fortuitous if you had San Jose -1.5. I mean, my goodness, I mean the huge price that would have been when they were already about plus 260 or so on the money line. So incredible if you had the guts to take an alternative puck line last night with the San Jose Sharks in that game. And Columbus or Philadelphia, I should say, does me wrong. The best bet that I liked on the show yesterday, the Flyers, they lose 5-4 in overtime to Columbus. I was not at all thrilled. I knew they were in trouble when I saw that first period. It was a bad first period. It was just they were outworked, outplayed. Columbus took it to them. And credit to Philadelphia for battling back, because Columbus's defense will always let you back into a hockey game. Not to mention Elvis Merzlikins, who was actually not bad last night, but still, I mean, this is a team that with their woeful defense, their suspect goaltending, Columbus, you're never going to be out of a game. But at the end, it was a turnover in overtime, much like the Bertuzzi turnover for Detroit. It was a bad turnover. I think it was Kevin Hayes in overtime for Philly, and it sent Columbus on an odd man rush, 3-on-1 the other way. Bam, game over. Columbus won 5-4. I was not happy with that start. And there was another person last night who was not very happy with the start that the Philadelphia Flyers had in that hockey game last night. It just happened to be one John Tortorella, who, if you watched that game, ended up giving you one hell of a hilarious mid-game interview. The ESPN, TNT, the national broadcasts, they absolutely love doing these, in-game interviews right now with these coaches. They want to get a word or two with the coaches and get a sense of what they are feeling regarding their team during the game. And John Tortorella had another legendary, classic John Tortorella moment. This guy has been a guy that shoots from the hip from the very beginning of his coaching career, and he did it once again last night. For those of you on YouTube, you'll be able to see this, and those of you listening on the podcast, you'll be able to hear it. John Tortorella talking with Brian Boucher during the game on that ESPN Plus interview last night.
Torch, you guys give up the first goal. Just thoughts on your team's start here so far in the first 15 plus minutes.
We suck. We haven't forechecked. We haven't done anything as of right now.
What do you want to see differently?
Forecheck.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I concur, Coach. I absolutely concur with that. 100%. You did suck in that first period, and I concur with that as someone that lost money on that horseshit first period performance from the Philadelphia Flyers last night. That was absolutely hilarious. That's John Tortorella right there, man. He's not going to hide anything. If his team's not good, and you're going to say, "Hey, man, first period here, team's been garbage, not playing well," and you're going to put a fucking headset next to him, and he's got to answer it, and he's got to do an interview. He's probably going to be pissed, and he's probably not going to sugarcoat it or hide it. And that's exactly what we saw in that interview with Tortorella last night. But you wouldn't expect anything less from him in that situation. But disappointing for Philadelphia. Actually, now have lost 2 weeks in a row to the Columbus Blue Jackets. So they lose 5-4 in overtime. Let's get to Wednesday's card. Alex is going to need another day, it looks like, because, again, still battling the elements. But short card today. Hopefully, Alex back with us tomorrow on the Thursday show. So let's keep it rolling. We've got Buffalo and Ottawa here. First of 3 games tonight. Ottawa -170, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Look, these are two struggling hockey teams. There's no question about that. Both teams. Look, Buffalo the only difference is Buffalo has a little bit more leeway, a little bit more wiggle room to deal with a slump because they got off to such a strong start this season. Ottawa doesn't really. I mean, because when you look at the standings right now, Buffalo is down to 14 points. Ottawa's only at 11 points. So it's obviously both teams are slumping right now. They're both on losing streaks going into this game. Someone is going to get off the schneid and get back in the win column tonight in this game. Buffalo's lost 6 in a row. The Senators are a dreadful 1-8 in their last 9 games. They have not played well either. But look, this is one of those games where, for me, if I'm betting a side, and I don't love either side in this game, but two slumping teams, you have to take a price at +150. It's got that flip a coin feel to it. And you can't lay -170 with Ottawa right now. And I can't, at least. That much I know. Can't do it. I mean, this team is 1-8 in their last 9 games. Is the idea of backing a Buffalo team that's lost 6 in a row and is now playing on the second night of back-to-back games, after losing at home to Vancouver last night. Is that overly appealing? No, but it's the better option, in my opinion. Certainly it's the value option. There's no value in a -170 Ottawa team that can't keep pucks out of their own net. The offense has been hit or miss. Thomas Chabot is out, and it's not even close how he is their best defenseman by far, by leaps and fucking bounds. It's like I said, it's not debatable. It's not even remotely close that Thomas Chabot is the best defenseman on this Ottawa Senators team. And there is no question about it. He will be missed dearly. And because after that, you've got a lot of question marks and you've got a lot of inexperience and you got guys that are going to have to play more minutes that aren't used to it. I think Jake Sanderson's going to be a good defenseman, but he's got to play 25 minutes now. Is he ready? Is Jacob Bernard Docker ready for that? Travis Hamonick's just been one injury after another. They got to get more minutes and ice time now out of him. Eric Brandstrom, Nick Holden, Jacob Larson. They already have Artem Zub, one of their other defensemen, on IR as well. So, all kinds of issues right now for the Ottawa Senators with their defense. And that's a concern as well, especially when you're laying $170 in this game. As far as Buffalo goes, just every little mistake ended up in the back of their net, especially in that first period. Otherwise, they probably could have won that game last night. The power play kind of let them down. Special teams were a huge difference maker. Actually, in each of the last 2 losses for Buffalo, 0 for 6 on the power play, and they gave up 3 power play goals to both Boston and Vancouver in the last 2 games. So special teams has been an issue for the Sabres. See if they can rectify that here in this game tonight. Goaltending confirmations have not been made on the Buffalo side, but you got to assume it's Eric Comrie after Craig Anderson got the start last night. Anton Forsberg will get the nod for the Ottawa Senators here in this game tonight, which I think when you see it with DJ Smith, he's going to even though Cam Talbot's healthy, he probably is going to keep trying to give Anton Forsberg opportunities. Comrie's kind of slowed down after a great start, and Forsberg is only 3-7 with a 3.6 goals against average and 899 save percentage. So these two goalies are both scuffling right now. I definitely like this game over the total as well. I mean, it's hard not to. I've been cashing with Buffalo over the total quite a bit lately, including last night against Vancouver. They have trended over the total at a 7-2 clip in their last 9 games. Ottawa, they've actually gone under in 2 straight, but look at the last 2 opponents. Philadelphia is not an offensive juggernaut. They don't push pace. They want to play a little tighter to the vest. Same with the New York Islanders. So I think that played a part in those 2 games staying under the total. So I like goals tonight over 6.5. I'm going to sprinkle a small shot. Nothing big, nothing significant, but a small shot on Buffalo here at plus 150 in this game, even with the rest disadvantage, because obviously Ottawa did not play yesterday. They played a Monday game against the Islanders. They're rested. Buffalo's not, but it's not tough travel. You got to, and it's plus 150 here with the team that, I think this game could go either way, and you can get plus 150 with one side. So to me, that's the decision here, is just take the value and let the chips fall where they may. As far as goal scorer props go here in this game, Buffalo right now with Skinner, Thompson, and Tuck on the top line. J.J. Peterka back to the second line with Hinostroza and Cousins. I think anybody on that Buffalo second line is worth value in this game for a prop. Casey Middlestat as well. Casey Middlestat scored last night for the Sabres. He's now collected a goal in 3 goals in the last 5 games for the Sabres. He's starting to produce a little bit more offensively, so there's some options for Buffalo. Of course, it starts and ends with Shane Pinto on the Ottawa side, who is going to be the second line center tonight, playing with Batherson and DeBrincat. That's a pretty solid second line for this team right now. And of course, Shane Pinto has been a guy that's given the Senators quite a bit this year. 8 goals, 1 assist. He hasn't scored in back-to-back games since a 2-goal effort against New Jersey last week, but probably a good opportunity for Shane Pinto to find the back of the net here for the Ottawa Senators in this game. And again, 2 teams that their strength definitely is offense. Neither one has been consistent enough at the defensive end of the ice. So there's a few props I like. Buffalo plus 150, over 6.5. as well for me in this game. All right, St. Louis and Chicago. The Blues minus 170 road favorites, 6 the total in this game. Blues, of course, they went through the abyss. They went through their dark times and their massive struggles just recently, and now they've come out the other side of it and are definitely playing better hockey the last 3 games. They snapped their losing streak, which reached 7 games against us. They snapped it by beating San Jose 5-3. They then go to Vegas, beat the Golden Knights 3-2 as a big dog. I was on them there. Best bet winner for me with St. Louis once again as a big underdog on Monday night, defeating the Colorado Avalanche 3-2 and surviving a frantic push from the Avalanche in the final minute in order to win that game. But now's the time to say, you know what? We've had some fun back in the Blues here as big road dogs in the last 2 games against great competition. Now you're going into Chicago, and now you're laying $1.70. I'm not interested in St. Louis at this price. That being said, I'm not really rushing to bet Chicago either. We just saw them get shut out by Carolina 3-0 in their last game. Don't look now, but suddenly 6 straight unders for the Chicago Blackhawks entering tonight. They have been an under machine. Their offense has been it has been dormant. 1 goal against the Islanders, 2 against LA, shut out by the Winnipeg Jets, 1 goal against LA in the rematch. 3 goals was their high water mark during this 6-game stretch against Anaheim. We were a terrible defensive team and still could only get 3 goals against them, and then they get blanked by Kakalaki the other night. So, yeah, it's definitely been a team struggling to score goals lately, the Blackhawks. Defensively, actually haven't been that bad. Arvid Soderblom, I mean, we've talked about him, Alex and I, on this show for weeks now, and we're thinking that this guy is, not capable of being a long-term answer for the goaltending for Chicago. But again, in the Anaheim game, he was really good. 39 saves on 41 shots, 3-2 win. Very solid in that effort. Remember, the Carolina game, he was not in net. It was Peter Mrazek who got the start for the Chicago Blackhawks, although he didn't play that bad either It was just he didn't get any offense from his team that night. But no, he's been really good. I mean, so the last few games, 2-2, but a 2.6 goals against average, 931 save percentage for Arvid Soderblom going into this game tonight for the Blackhawks. So he's definitely outperformed expectations, pretty much anybody's expectations, quite honestly. So, it's been nice to see. The question's going to be, is this a long-term thing? I'll tell you what, in the goal saved above average department, I was shocked to see this. He's ninth in the NHL right now. There's how many goalies qualified? 73. So there's 73 NHL goaltenders that have made at least one start this season in the NHL. And out of 73 goaltenders, Arvid Soderblom of the Blackhawks is ninth in goals saved above average. So that actually does tell me that, he's actually playing really well, and that it's not necessarily a fluke that he is putting up these numbers right now. He's making good. The 4.26 goals saved above average tells me when he faces a high danger chance or a rush or transition scoring opportunity or something that's a grade A quality chance, whether it's in front of the net in the slot area, no defensive attention put to that scoring opportunity by his teammates. He is making saves in those situations, which tells you that he's playing well right now for Chicago at the moment. Will that continue? That remains to be seen. Jordan Binnington, by the way, in net for the Blues. Keep in mind, we do have some concerns with the blue line for St. Louis. I mean, Scandella and Perunovic have been out for a long time. Bortuzzo's on IR. Colton Parayko is a game-time decision for the Blues tonight. Tyler Tucker, the rookie, might be the guy to take his spot if he does not play, but Parayko banged up in the game against Colorado. One of many Warriors that were just terrific down the stretch trying to preserve that victory over the Avalanche. But he's a game-time decision as of right now for this game. We'll see if he's able to suit up. That could be significant because Parayko is one of those players that is a big minutes performer on the blue line for St. Louis, plays in all situations, plays on the top pair, and you have to replace him. That could be a little bit difficult, especially because Tyler Tucker is the guy in line to take his spot, just recalled from Springfield of the American Hockey League last week. So very interesting to see. What's interesting, too, about Tucker is that he's got 7 points in 11 games with Springfield in the AHL. So if he does go into the lineup, it looks like he's more of an offensive-minded defenseman, might be able to, move the puck fairly well and help them out in terms of getting the rush going up the ice for this St. Louis Blues team. So after all of that diatribe, it's probably going to be a pass for me side-wise and totals-wise. I'd actually lean under. It's hard to bet over with Chicago right now. It's like I said, Soderblom's feeling it. You understand why this total is 6 shaded to the under, not the over. I could see why people would think this might be a lower scoring game between these two teams. As far as props go in this game, if I were to look at St. Louis props, Robert Thomas stands out. Brandon Saad has actually been pretty decent lately for the Blues. He's scored goals now in 3 straight games. Robert Thomas had a 2-point night against Colorado. He continuously every night gets chances, gets shots on goal. So that finally might be a sign that offense is going to start to unravel and flow for Robert Thomas. Like I said, Saad is feeling it right now for the Blues with goals in 3 straight games. So those would probably be some of the options I would look at the most here as far as player props go on the St. Louis side. And close shave Ivan Barbashev, he continues to shoot the puck, get opportunities as well most nights. So there's another potential option you could see for Chicago. As far as I'm concerned, you don't want to go crazy peppering the board with their props right now because you've got a lot of guys that are in a little bit of a drought right now offensively. The whole team is struggling to score goals, but Domi hasn't scored in 8 straight games. You look at even Patrick Kane as of late, he hasn't scored in 8 straight games as well for the Chicago Blackhawks. Taylor Radish gave you a goal a couple games ago. He might be an option. Taves has gone goalless in 4 games. The Greek Stallion, Athanasiou, no goals in 6 games. Kurashev, no goals in 9 games straight for him. I mean, all of these top 6 forwards right now are just having a tough time finding the back of the net. So it's not like I'm in a hurry right now to take a ton of Chicago goal scorer props in this game here tonight. All right, next up, we've got the Final game of this Wednesday night card, LA Kings, Edmonton Oilers, playoff rematch from last year. Of course, these teams met in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs a season ago. Edmonton minus 145, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Should be a great one. It was a pretty entertaining series when they played in the postseason last year. We'll see how this one goes, but you've got LA off a 6-5 loss to the Calgary Flames the other night. Certainly, it's a team that's going to have to tighten things up a little bit here at the defensive end of the ice. I'm sure they were not thrilled with the way they played in that Calgary game. We'll see if they're able to pick it up and do a little bit better here tonight at the defensive end after just a shoddy effort defensively in that game. If you saw, Calgary was just given way too much time and space, way too much open ice, and they made the LA Kings pay for it. No question about that. So definitely going to have to tighten things up a little bit here, the LA Kings tonight in this game against the Oilers. LA has won 3 of their last 4. That loss to Calgary snapped a 3-game losing streak. All 3 wins were at home against Detroit, Chicago, and Minnesota. So we'll see if LA can bounce back here in this one against Edmonton. First meeting of the regular season with these two teams, and the first meeting, of course, since last May when Edmonton knocked out the LA Kings in that 7-game series in the first round last year. I definitely am tempted to take the Kings here. It's Kings or pass for me in this game. Off the loss, revenge spot. And it's not so much the revenge spot, it's the price you're getting here at the plus 125. The one thing that does concern me a little bit is going against Stuart Skinner for the Edmonton Oilers. He's been great, and he's confirmed to be the starting goaltender tonight in this game. Now, his win-loss record is only 3-3, but 2.52 goals against average, .932 save percentage for Skinner. Tells you he's been great. And look, 40 saves on 42 shots on Saturday in the 4-2 road win against Florida. He was great. He is the reason why they were able to win that hockey game against Florida, considering that the Panthers were just peppering Skinner and the Edmonton net with tons of chances, tons of shots early in that game, and he was able to withstand them throughout that hockey game. Edmonton, what's been puzzling about them? Their home record. There's been a few teams. Talked about Minnesota's been a little bit mediocre this year at home. Edmonton's got a losing home record. They're 4-5 here at Rogers Place in Edmonton. That's disappointing. Usually they have a nice crowd, pretty boisterous, loud environment, and to be 4-5 at home is disappointing if you're the Edmonton Oilers. Meanwhile, they're 5-2 on the road. So it's one of those situations where it seems like they get away from home and they end up being more comfortable, a little bit more relaxed. They're maybe not trying to put on a show. That's what I find too. Edmonton consistently this year when I watch their games, outside of the Carolina game where it was just a disaster defensively and Campbell was horrible in that game, outside of that game, they seem to really try to tighten things up a lot more when they play on the road and they try to go a little more run and gun. I know Jay Woodcroft has worked overtime since taking over as head coach midway through last season to get that shit out of their game, this inconsistency defensively and this run and gun style. And that's definitely something that when you look at it would concern you about Edmonton moving forward. One game they bring the great defensive effort, and the next game not so much. That's going to be something to watch for here moving forward. Can they really start to bring that same, better attention to detail in their own defensive zone in their home games as they seem to do on the road? So that's the big question here. I do like LA a little bit, plus 125. I do think Edmonton's probably got a goalie that's in better form right now. Skinner's been good. Cal Peterson's not. Cal Peterson, he actually has a winning record, 4-2, but it's not been because he's been putting up great numbers and been playing terrific in between the pipes. 4.06 goals against average, .867 save percentage for Cal Peterson going into this game. Although he did get a victory in his last start, which was against Detroit, 4-3 over the weekend. Played a little bit better in that game. 5-2. They ended up losing to Dallas with him in net. Toronto, he gave up 2 goals, but they did win that game 4-2 over the Leafs when the Leafs run that disastrous California road trip. He's been up and down is what he's been so far this season. Keep in mind, there's a couple of games that have really skewed his goals against because he's given up 3 goals or less in 4 starts. And in 2 starts, he gave up 5, and then he gave up a start against Dallas where he gave up 5, and he gave up the 6 goals against Minnesota, which was that crazy shootout. It's kind of skewed his numbers a little bit. So, yeah, 4.06 goals against looks bad, but I think that Minnesota 7-6 game early in the season really skewed those numbers quite a bit for Cal Peterson, I should say, for the LA Kings. So, I'm going to take LA here. I'm fine with it. It's plus 125. It's also Edmonton off a road trip. Now, they've had a few days off, 3 days off after that game against Florida. So this is really the schedule makers, unlike some other teams that have gotten just 1 day in between ending a road trip and returning home for a first game. They've given the Oilers 3 full days off from the end of that road trip in Florida and this game tonight. So it's not exactly a horrible situation or scheduling spot for the Oilers. But I am going to rock with the LA Kings here at plus 125 in this game. And because, look, I mean, we've also seen with the Oilers, too, inconsistency. They beat Tampa, they lose the next game. So they've got to be able to show, hey, we've found our way to win against Florida. We've got to bring it again tonight here consistently, both ends of the ice. So I like LA here. I lean to the over, but I don't love it because I think LA is going to try to tighten it up. And look, with Skinner in net, it's not like this team is as much of an over team with Skinner in net compared to Campbell, who's just been letting in goals left and right. So that's just a lukewarm lean toward over in this game. I like LA plus 125. And as far as the props go in this game, it's mostly going to be rhyming off the same players I've mentioned repeatedly for the LA Kings. Although, again, I talk about Gabe Vilardi, but Gabe Vilardi, the value ship has sailed, folks. I mean, it's gone on Gabe Vilardi. I mean, this is a guy that's now routinely being priced in the plus 160 to plus 180 range to score a goal, which is a big departure from the way he was playing earlier in the season or the way his goal scorer prop price, I should say, was priced early in the season. So you're just not getting those great value prices anymore for him. I think for me, I would look more toward Arthur Kaliev, who's been chipping in lately for the Kings. He scored 2 goals against Calgary. He had 2 assists against Detroit, 4 points in the last 2 games, 5 shots on goal. Doesn't get as much ice time, but he's made the most of it. Now, Arthur Kaliev, how about you witness the power of Grundstrom? He has been noticeable. He scored against Detroit. That's someone down the board you could look at here as far as goal scorer props go for the Kings. So those are a couple options if you're looking for a little extra value. Fiala has started to rip it up lately for the Kings. He's certainly had tons of games where he's had shots. He's had chances. The puck wasn't going in for a bit, but 3 straight games with a goal for Kevin Fiala entering this game. As far as Edmonton goes, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has been consistently solid, and it's shocking to say because we know he's been underwhelming at times, but he's been solid on that top line, scored against Florida, playing with Connor McDavid and Jesse Puljujärvi on that top line, so we'll see if he can keep that rolling. It's funny, Puljujärvi, he's now gone, it looks like, 9 straight games without a goal, and that's in spite of playing on the top line with McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, so hard to believe he hasn't just accidentally scored a goal during that time. Warren Foegele is the guy I think you want to maybe circle for the Edmonton Oilers tonight. Warren Foegele is someone that we know is capable of scoring, all right, at least in a little bit, which he did against Carolina, and he really upped his game in the playoffs with Carolina. And Warren Foegele was a guy that was getting chances. He had games early in October where he had 7 shots on goal. He had 5 shots on goal, 4 shots on goal, 3. He had 4 the other night against Washington, and like he's been firing the puck from everywhere, saying, I got to get my offense going. I can do better than this. And he suddenly has. And now all of a sudden, when you look at Warren Foegele, suddenly with the shots on goal, he's got 2 shots, 3 shots the last few games, and now starting to chip in offensively. Ice cold to begin the season, but now after going, what was it? Double-digit number of games without a goal. Warren Foegele has now scored twice in the last 3 games. He got a goal against Tampa Bay, scored against Florida on Saturday. So Warren Foegele now might be showing signs of coming out of this little funk he was in, and he's been elevated to the second line, it looks like, tonight with Leon Draisaitl and Zach Hyman. So up to the second line, 2 goals in the last 3 games. Signs that he's maybe starting to get his confidence back, the timing back, being able to finish a little bit better around the net. I think it's a good time maybe to buy in on Warren Foegele as he's starting to show signs of getting things going a little bit offensively for the Edmonton Oilers. And with his prop, you can get it at a very good price here, plus 475 at multiple books. BetMGM has plus 475. DraftKings has plus 475 right now on Warren Foegele to score a goal tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. Definitely something to consider. Good value considering up to the second line, getting some of that mojo back offensively. 2 goals in the last 3 games. Worth a look there, in my opinion, for sure, is Foegele in this one. That's about it. Holloway, by the way, you can tell that it's just been a struggle for Dylan Holloway. Dropped down to the 4th line for the Edmonton Oilers. Keep an eye, too, on Klim Kostin. He's joined the lineup for the Edmonton Oilers, played in the win against Florida, had 2 shots on goal, and he had 2 goals, 4 points in 9 AHL games. Klim Kostin for the Oilers before getting brought up to the big club. Someone to keep in mind here because, again, he's someone that is going to play on the 3rd line and might even get power play minutes. Am I seeing? No, he won't get power play minutes, but still, 3rd line was noticeable from what I saw because I watched a lot of that Florida Edmonton game on Saturday, and you can get as high as plus 650 at Caesars for him to score. So if you really want to roll the dice there, Klim Kostin for Edmonton. But I think my favorite prop for them tonight is Warren Foegele. Like I said, at plus 475, second line, and a guy that scored now 2 goals in the last 3 games. All right, that's your Wednesday card. Thanks to everyone for watching the Ice Guys every single day, 7 days a week. We're the only NHL betting show anywhere that's on 7 days a week. And we appreciate you all tuning in. Hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. And a reminder, sign up patreon.com/iceguys, $10 a month. Great bonus content, totals charts, goalie charts, power ratings, daily NHL Ice Guys betting card. We had some issues uploading the card yesterday. It didn't appear, but it's because we had some issues with Patreon uploading, wasn't working. So hopefully that's been rectified today. But yeah, daily betting card from the show gets posted there each day. Check it out, patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 a month. All right, best bet to wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys for a Wednesday. Not a whole lot I love on the card tonight, so I'm just going to keep it simple. I think it's probably the best way to go tonight in this game, and that's probably over 6.5, Buffalo and Ottawa. I like that one. Over 6.5, minus 130. I think we get over the total with the Sabres and the Senators, 2 teams that certainly are going to be desperate. There shouldn't be any holding things back tonight. Both teams need a victory. The first period over might be worth a look as well in this game. Both teams to score in the first period might actually be a good bet too in that Buffalo-Ottawa game tonight. But we'll go with that. Sabres-Senators over 6.5, minus 130 for my best bet for this Wednesday NHL card. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. And a reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll talk to you again tomorrow on Thursday for another edition of the Ice Guys and a massive Thursday card coming up tomorrow on the Ice Guys presented by National Hockey Now.